Hey guys, so today's video is going to be kind of interesting that I did last week's video before this without even knowing it. This is a request from Z-Town Train, so thank you for the request. It is about the curse of Buddy Holly, and if you watched last week's video, that was about the supposed meaning behind the song American Pie, which had a lot to do with Buddy Holly. And so when I opened up my little request thing last week to do research on my next topic, I was like, wow, that worked out nicely. So let's get started. So on February 3rd of 1959, a chartered plane took off from a small town in Iowa despite terrible weather conditions. And on board the aircraft was Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper, who were three major rockers at the time. All three musicians and the pilot were killed in the crash, and this day has become immortalized by the song American Pie as the day the music died. However, in addition to killing three of the biggest rock stars in the world at that time, the accident would also be the start of what would become known as the Buddy Holly curse. Now, the curse supposedly began before the accident because apparently both Buddy Holly and his wife had experienced nightmares before that tour that they were on had even begun. In his wife's nightmares, she saw a fireball smash into a field, and Buddy had a disturbing nightmare about an airplane. He had also been warned by a songwriter and producer friend of his that had recently had a tarot card reading that it had predicted that he would die on February the 3rd. And the tour that they were on previous to the crash was also plagued with issues. Shortly into the tour, Holly's drummer, Carl Bunch, had to leave the party because he suffered frostbite on his feet. The Big Bopper and Ritchie Valens both came down with colds. The tour bus constantly broke down, and overall the tour was a pretty miserable experience. Because of all of these different things happening and because of these conditions, Holly decided to charter a plane to take him to the next stop rather than riding in the tour bus. The Big Bopper originally did not have a seat on the plane, but he convinced Waylon Jennings, who was one of Holly's band members at that time, to give him his seat when he came down with the flu. Valens won his seat in a coin toss against another band member. After the crash, the curse seemed to follow those who were associated with Holly, or associated with his music. Firstly, and most tragically, Holly's wife miscarried the child that she was pregnant with at the time of Holly's death. Now, singer Eddie Cochran was supposed to be on tour but couldn't make it. He felt extreme guilt over this fact, and he felt that he had cheated death. However, he was then killed in a freak car accident in 1960 while driving to Heathrow Airport after a UK concert tour. His two passengers survived the crash. However, Cochran was thrown from the car and died the next day of massive head injuries. The last single that was released by Cochran before his death was called 3 Steps to Heaven, and it was backed by Holly's old band, the Crickets. Singer Ronnie Smith stepped in to replace Holly for the rest of the dance party tour. On October 25th of 1962, he hung himself in a hospital bathroom. He'd been previously committed to a state hospital in Texas for drug abuse. Now, there are many other deaths that have been attributed to the Buddy Holly curse, some of which seem to be merely coincidence. For example, several people who were involved about making a movie on Holly's life either committed suicide or were injured in accidents. John Lennon's death has even been connected to it, since the Beatles had recorded covers of some of his songs. Now, the original Crickets band decided to hire a new singer, and 17-year-old David Box sung with them for a few years, recording the song Peggy Sue Got Married before moving on to a solo career. On October 23rd of 1964, the plane he was riding in crashed, killing him and the pilot. He was 22 years old, the same age as Buddy Holly when his plane crashed. Lloyd Copus, who was a singer that had performed with Holly, was killed in the Piper Comanche he was flying, when it crashed near Nashville. This was also the plane crash that killed country singer Patsy Cline. Bobby Fuller idolized Buddy Holly, and he sent a demo record to Holly's parents, who forwarded it to their son's former producer. Fuller and his band, the Bobby Fuller Four, were signed and recorded some songs, including I Fought the Law, which was written by one of the Crickets. On July 18th of 1966, Fuller was found dead in his car, which was parked in front of his house. He'd been severely beaten and drenched in gasoline. Fuller had reportedly been in trouble with local mobsters. However, the police ruled the death a suicide. Fuller's connection to Holly, other than recording a Cricket-penned song, was that he recorded Love's Made a Fool of You right before his death, which was a song written by Holly himself. In 1978, the actor, now known actor, Gary Busey, wasn't a famous actor yet. He was a young singer turned actor with an okay resemblance to Buddy Holly. He was cast in the Buddy Holly Story, which was a biopic covering the singer's life. He garnered an Academy Award nomination for his role and did all of the singing in the movie. And in 1988, he was in a near-fatal motorcycle wreck that fractured his skull. And the last connection to the curse that I have found happened to Robert Gittler, who was the screenwriter for the Buddy Holly Story. He had killed himself right before the film was released. So that's all I have that I could find on the Buddy Holly curse. I thought this was a really interesting case, and again, I thought it was really interesting that this happened to pop up after last week's video. But thank you again, Z-Town Train, for the request. I will link all of my sources in the description below as usual, so if you guys want to look more into it, feel free to check out those articles. If you like this video, please hit the like button below. If you have any suggestions for more videos, true crime or otherwise, please leave those in the comments below. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. I upload new videos every Wednesday. And other than that, I will see you guys next week. Bye.